Coming up on this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society, Jet Force Gemini sounds like our favorite season of Power Rangers. It's dangerous to go alone, so the Nintendo Cartridge Society goes with you. Welcome to Nintendo Cartridge Society. My name is Patrick Ellers, and I am joined, as I'm always joined by my co-host, Mark Mitchell. We've got a good show for you today. We're going to be talking about the news from the week, including Jet Force Gemini making its way to the Switch. And then on Thursday, we are ranking all of the badges in Super Mario Bros. Wonder. But Mark, in the meantime, how's it going?
It's going great. Hope you had a good Thanksgiving. Hope all of our listeners had a good Thanksgiving.
Yeah, Mark, we are recording this on the Monday after Thanksgiving. And Sarah and I were talking about this earlier. You know what this day is, what we have designated this day as, right?
Cyber Monday?
Cyber Monday. Why are we still, no one says cyber shopping anymore, right?
No. Nope. I feel like everyone's forgotten what cyber meant in the early 90s online.
That's right. People have forgotten the true meaning of cyber. No, it just that our existence is so necessarily online that to designate something as cyber anything is just ridiculous. And it's also one of those things where because cyber shopping, you're just taking the wrong part of it stayed with the word. You know what I mean?
Also, I don't think I've said the word cyber this much in a long time.
It feels weird in your mouth, right?
What a weird word. Cyber.
Yeah, cyber.
What does it mean? What was its genesis?
I mean, I imagine with cyberpunk and
But where did that come from?
I don't know. I don't
know.
Sounds
like cyber would be a great name for an American Gladiator.
Yeah, I'm there must have been a cyber, right?
Yeah, you're right. There probably had to have been. There was a laser and there had to have been a cyber.
Right. Was there a gyro?
There probably was.
Did you watch a lot of American Gladiators?
I watched a ton of American Gladiators.
I feel like it was always just on after something. Right?
Yeah, that seems right. I think it was a syndicated television show, I think. So it was probably on, just after cartoons in the afternoon when we're home from school or something, or Saturday morning.
Yeah, that it feels right. It's never something I sought out, but it was frequently on.
I had the NES game.
Whoa, how was that?
Probably not very good, but I remember playing it a lot.
Shouldn't that be the perfect formula for a video game, an American Gladiators video game?
I mean, it's basically everybody 1-2 switch in a way.
Sure. When you really break it down, it's really just 1-2 switch.
I still think it would be super fun. There were two American Gladiator events that always seemed so fun. Yeah. One was the when you got inside the metal balls and had to roll onto the targets, and when you hit a target, the smoke would shoot up through it.
Yeah,
that seemed
very
fun.
Cool. Mm-hmm.
And the other one that seemed really cool. Do you remember there was the gladiator was standing up on a stage and had a gun that shot tennis balls?
Tennis balls, yes.
And then the contestant had to hide behind different stations.
Yeah.
And try to run from station to station without being hit by a tennis ball and hit a target above the American Gladiator.
Yeah, it's a cover-based shooter. That's all video games were for 8 years in the early 2000s.
Yeah. Seems like it'd be a lot of fun. They should bring that back as a experience you can sign up for.
Like an escape room style.
Yeah, exactly.
American Gladiators. Yeah, I think that's good. Pyro is probably who I was thinking of, not Gyro.
Did you look up a list of names?
No, I just started thinking about Milhouse's stepdad on The Simpsons. Maybe
that'd be a good 433. We rank the American Gladiator names.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Don't give it away though, Mark. We'll do it next week. If you would like to tune in next week, that's not actually how Patreon works. We have a Patreon, patreon.com/Nintendo Cartridge Society. If you would like to support us over there, we would appreciate it. You are certainly under no obligation to do so. If you support us at the 8-bit or 16-bit levels, you get access to our once-a-month episodes of miniseries. We just finished NCS Goes Broadway. And Mark, we are putting out a new holiday bonus episode this Friday. We are returning to the NCS Detective Club concept for a Christmas special.
Yeah, that should be a lot of fun. And then in January, we're starting our new miniseries NCS Arcade, where we're going to be playing games that neither Patrick or I have ever beaten from Nintendo Switch Online and Nintendo Switch Online Plus expansion pack. And we're starting with The Legend of Zelda: The Minish Cap, which I'm really excited about, really excited to play, and really excited to hear everybody else's thoughts as well. So if you want to play along with us, if you want to talk about it, we'll be talking about it in January, and you can join the Patreon to get in on that.
Yeah, and look, Jet Force Gemini coming out. I'm telling you, that's a candidate for a future episode of NCS Arcade.
Could be.
Uh, Mark, not ready to commit. You should also join our Discord. It's a community where there are a bunch of people in there always talking about Nintendo stuff. So email us at Nintendo Cartridge Society at gmail.com. And we will send you an invitation, and you can get in there and mix it up with a bunch of fun and funny people talking about Nintendo. Mark, let's get into what we've been playing this week. Super Mario RPG, right?
Yes, I have been playing it. So I haven't had as much time to put into it as I'd like. I would guess I may be like 2.5 hours in, but it doesn't feel like I've been playing that long. But I'm basically, I guess, super light spoilers for the first couple hours of the game. But I have Mallow, and I am making my way through the sewers. Well, that's as far as I've gotten.
Yes. No, you are very early in the game still. You don't have Gino yet.
No.
Yeah, okay. All right. Well, I wish you luck on your journey, Mark. I finished Super Mario RPG.
Nice.
So there was, Super Mario RPG is a game that I have loved for decades now, and a game that I connected with my brother with a lot. And the Monday after the game came out, so the game had been out for 2 days, right? I was texting with him and I was like, "Hey, how did you pick up Super Mario RPG?" And he said, "Yeah, I got it. I finished it. I beat the secret boss. I beat all the other bosses. Like he did everything there was to do in the game in a weekend." And so that's when I was like, okay, I'm like slacking here. I'm like not holding up my end of the brotherly deal. And so I went in and I didn't do all of the hidden bosses. I did like the regular hidden boss that appeared in the original game, and then I challenged a couple of the other boss rematches. And like I get it. I don't think I need to like keep grinding my way through the rest of it. But it's super fun and like polished representation of a game that I love.
I don't think I really realized how much Paper Mario takes from Super Mario RPG.
Mm-hmm.
Like, even just a few hours in, the similarities are pretty remarkable.
Yeah, they're really. I mean, like the fact that you are going after these like 7-star, like, and when you collect one of the stars, like it shows you the stars like on a like little, I don't know, like a little board. And like I kept in my mind conflating it with when you collect the stars in Paper Mario, and like one of them has a mustache, and and it was just like, oh yeah, like there's a lot of this that is just like exactly the same.
One of the things I'm really enjoying is how much obviously the presentation in the game between Link's Awakening remake for Switch and the Mario RPG remake for Switch are different. But one thing I'm really enjoying about the Mario RPG remake is the kind of like squat versions of all of the characters. Like the purport, like I could see how it would have been easy to make the proportions of the characters the normal
Normal,
proportions that
yeah.
we expect,
Uh-huh.
from like Mario and Friends now. But I like that everything is just a little bit more squat. It's like
Yeah.
when you take an image and instead of uh dragging it from the corner so it all expands evenly, you just drag it from the top and lower it
Yep.
down a little bit. That's what all of the like all the toads look like that. Like I love it. Everybody's just a little shorter and a little squatter, and it's
I'm
just it's good
Yeah,
times.
it's like perfect. And I wonder how much of that is driven by Mallow's character design. Cuz like if you were to put everyone at like normal proportions, what do you do with Mallow? He doesn't have normal proportions. Like
No.
he only exists in in the Super Mario RPG mold. You can't stretch him out. He's a cloud.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. And obviously I'm very early, but it's also just a reminder of how like why Super Mario RPG kind of exists in the world
Mm,
where, Square was having a hard time getting like the audience outside of Japan interested in their RPGs. And so like in a lot of ways it's possible that Super Mario RPG was the first RPG that like I really played.
yeah.
And um and so going through it again, it's like, oh yeah, this is a really good introductory RPG for like a kid who's never played one before.
Yeah, my brother and I jokingly referred to it as baby's first RPG, because it is so simple and like, in a lot of ways like very easy, um, and like it has its parts where it gets difficult or where like you have to think or like actually like execute on the timed attacks, but there's a
I
lot of
do
it you can sleepwalk through. I mean,
yeah. I do like the description of it as being like there are times where you have to think. But and that could be so annoying, right? Like
Hmm,
there have been Kirby games that I have not been able to make it through because I just feel like it's too rudimentary for
yeah,
me to like. But with Super Mario RPG, I just find it so charming in its simplicity, and like the world is so appealing, the characters are appealing. Yeah, even stuff like I had mentioned earlier, I I don't think I'd really thought that much about how Paper Mario was a direct descendant of Super Mario RPG. But even like the quirky dialogue that we
oh yeah.
laud, Paper Mario for so much, it's like, oh yeah, so much of that is here in Mario RPG, Super
Yeah,
Mario RPG.
yeah, it's absolutely like all over Super Mario RPG. Um, it's yeah, it's a very like charming, and that's actually one of the things that I find like special about it. A couple weeks ago I had mentioned that I played the demo for Star Ocean Second Story, the remake, and was frustrated by how much the dialogue and text in the game like just waste my time. That like uh the characters are just saying stuff to say stuff, and I'm like, why aren't we cutting this? Why aren't we cutting most of this dialogue? Um, and I feel like Super Mario RPG, well, the characters are chatty and they talk a lot. They're either telling you something you need to know or like giving you some insight into like how that character exists in this world or is like being funny, right? And so like I just enjoy every second that I'm in that game, talking to the characters or not.
Yeah, I'm really excited to continue to make progress in it.
Now, remind me how deep into this game have you gotten before?
I I haven't beaten it, and so
Okay,
I honestly don't recall
okay.
because we never owned it. I just remember renting it for the Super Nintendo. So yeah, I honestly am not sure how far I made it.
Well, I'm very interested to talk with you when you've got more miles on your experience with it. Um, Mark, I went back to Pikmin 4.
I am so interested to hear about this.
So I finished Super Mario RPG over the weekend, and then on Sunday I had some time and was like, what do I like? I woke up early like I do because I can't sleep in anymore, um, and I was like, I'll go back to Pikmin 4. And there was the moment because I had done a couple days of it before. There was a moment where I was like, I don't remember how to play this game. should I start over? And I did not start over. I hopped back in, and I don't know. It's just a super pleasant, really fun, addictive, great Pikmin game. I'm having a wonderful time with it. Um, and like, there's nothing quite like heading back to an area that you've been exploring and be like, okay, now I'm gonna go over and like clear out everything over here and just like get it all done. Like there are it's not particularly challenging when I go into those like Dandori sections where like you're racing against a computer player, or where you have to do something in like very specific parameters. It's never hard, but like it just, I don't know, it feels like cleaning up. Like it's that same sort of satisfaction of just like putting things in order.
Do you have your Ochi? Do you get Ochi pretty early?
You get Ochi, yeah, basically right away.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
the game is really built around like using Ochi. Um, and he's like a super Pikmin because like you can make him like grab things on his own. Um, and yeah, Ochi's great. I did try showing Ochi to Sarah, who was like, "Who's this dog?" Like she was very interested. And then when she saw him running around on like two legs, she was like, "No, I don't,
Rejected.
don't care for Ochi." Turns out.
Oh, that's really funny. One thing that I was thinking about, because you and I both, I was gonna say play. That doesn't really feel like the right term, but engage with Pikmin
Mm-hmm.
Bloom.
Yep.
The mobile app, and I am a little bit surprised that there is. Okay, let me back this up. On the one hand, I'm surprised that there's no connectivity between the two. Right? There's
Yep.
no bonus for playing Pikmin Bloom, especially because they talk about Nintendo accounts and how connecting between Nintendo accounts is going to be such an important part of Nintendo engaging with their fans in the future. But on the other hand, I'm not at all surprised because uh, Nintendo does
Right.
not care about their mobile games.
Right. Well, why would they start now?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, other than Miyamoto is going to spend like 5 minutes of a Nintendo Direct showing us his Pikmin Bloom before announcing Pikmin 4. You
And
know,
it worked. It worked. It
it
worked on us.
worked. Eventually, it took a while,
It
but
took a while. Yeah, he was planting those seeds.
mm-hmm.
Pikmin talk.
Pikmin Talk. Welcome to Pikmin Talk. But so yeah, I will. I'm going to continue playing this. And I'm not like gonna make a crush for like finishing it in a certain amount of time. I find it to be so relaxing and meditative, that if it challenges me even in the slightest, I may walk away. Do you know what I mean?
I totally know what you mean.
Okay.
Are there difficulty settings in the game?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
I think you just stop trying to get everything, right? Like,
That makes sense. Yeah.
there's you can get through most of you get all the stuff that you need without having to 100% every area. Um, so I've been playing that, but then I also just I went to Disneyland and Disney's California Adventure on Thanksgiving, and so I just wanted to touch on the three sort of like video gamey things that are in the park.
Mm-hmm.
Just to sort of talk about them, because one of them is the Spider-Man web slingers, which I went on for the first time in California Adventure. And then the other two are the Toy Story Midway Mania and the Buzz Lightyear Astro Blasters. And just Mark, do you have experience on these three rides?
So last year I went on the Spider-Man ride for the first time.
Yeah,
What did you think of it?
I did not really like it. I think it's my least favorite of that style of game,
Yeah,
or
I
of
thought
ride, or whatever.
I thought it was pretty bad.
Yeah. The like the yeah, it's the premise of the ride is like you're visiting Spider-Man at work, and there are too many robot spiders, and so you have to get your own web slinging powers, and it's like a Connect where it reads your arm motions, and that like fires at a screen that you've got 3D glasses on, so it looks like it barely looks 3D as you're doing it, and so it's just kind of like a shooting gallery, with these like Marvel quality CGI backgrounds and like spiders and stuff. But like your arm gets tired really early, and all of the environments are just like the inside of a laboratory, and everything is like cold and weird, and it's not fun.
I mean, I know we just had Pikmin talk, but here's theme park talk. And
Yeah.
my take on the whole Avengers campus is like, ugh. You have the Marvel Cinematic Universe. You have all these crazy
Yes.
characters, and you put them in, I don't know, like the arts district, and
Well, I mean that. Yes.
your Spider-Man ride is a science fair project went wrong, and you're like cleaning up it's just it feels like so limited.
Yes. Well, it feels limited and it feels conceptually bankrupt because like the Avengers campus is a military base. So like you're walking around, it's all like concrete and metal, and then there's like a Hummer and you're like, "Why am I here? This sucks." We saw two different like character-based show things while we were there. One is the Dora Milaje from Wakanda like come out and do like a thing. And like that's kind of cool. It makes me wish there was like a Wakanda section of it because that at least looks interesting. And then let's see, Captain Marvel, Miss Marvel, and Spectrum or Photon, whatever the character's code name is. They came out and like took pictures with people. And let me tell you, people did not care about the Marvels. They did not draw a crowd.
Oops.
Oops. But like I don't know. It was, I was excited to see them. Like that's fun to me. But yeah, I agree. And like the Pym kitchen, test kitchen, where it's like some of the food is really big, and one of the big things is a big soft pretzel, and it's like all soft pretzels are too big. You know what I mean? But yeah, it's missing something. It needs like one ride.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. Totally.
But anyway, so I just do you have a like a hierarchy of like rankings for this style of attraction?
I think at Disneyland, the Toy Story Midway Mania is probably my favorite. Even though it is just like you sit in this car and it takes you from screen to another screen to another screen. I
Yeah,
think
but it's more expressly shooting gallery, right? And it's like bright and colorful.
and as a game, it's the most fun because I think like
Yeah,
Buzz Lightyear Astro Blasters is. I like that it's dimensional,
yeah,
but it's so you're not really. It's difficult to track where your like pointer is and all that kind of
yes.
stuff. So like as a game, I think it's less fun. So yeah, I think Toy Story Midway Mania is I think the most successful. Then I would say Astro Blasters and then Web Slingers last for me.
And if we have to put Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run on there,
Ugh, I guess I would say
I think it's
uh
better than Spider-Man.
I think it's better than Spider-Man because the queue because you get to
Yeah,
step onto the deck of the Millennium Falcon. But I
yeah,
don't think I it pains me to say it, but there's a Millennium Falcon ride, and I most of the time choose not to ride it because I don't
yeah.
think it's any fun.
Yeah, we didn't do it this time. So, well, okay, just a little theme park video game related wrap up there. Mark, that's what we've been playing this week. Let's get into the new releases and what we might be playing next week.
On Thursday, November 30th, Turok 3: Shadow of Oblivion is released digitally.
Now, I swear that we've talked about this before.
Yes, in fact, I think the last news episode we did before Thanksgiving, we talked about it. So here's what happened is that the game did release like 2 weeks ago in Europe and Australia as a
Ah.
mistake.
Oh.
So Night Dive Studios came out and were like,
Hmm.
hey, these are going live in Europe and Australia, but they are really buggy, and it wasn't supposed to come out until the 30th. So in the rest of the world, it's going to come out on the 30th, and on the 30th we will be releasing an update for the Australian and European like releases as well.
Sure, but in the meantime, those buggy versions are out in Europe and Australia.
Yeah, I guess like the wheels of the eShop were turning and could not be stopped.
Could not be stopped. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a momentum thing. Yeah.
I think so. I think so. And then on December 1st, on Friday, Dragon Quest Monsters: The Dark Prince is released.
And I did mess around with this demo, and recommend that if anyone is interested in uh this game or Dragon Quest games in general, check out the demo, because it seems like it is just the first like couple hours of the game. Um, and it just not my style of game, but it does seem to me at least like a little bit more accessible than a Pokemon game, because I don't have the decades of familiarity with Pokemon, but I do like the Dragon Quest creatures. I guess I like the Pokemon too, so like maybe it's a wash. um but seemed pretty cool. Do you have any interest in Dragon Quest Monsters 2 The Dark Prince?
I don't think so. I just for that same like Pokemon reason
Yeah.
where I didn't pick up Scarlet and Violet, but I picked up Sword and Shield and I picked up Sun and
Sun and
Moon.
Moon.
And so, but I hit a wall pretty quickly with those games and I don't know. So I'm always hesitant to pick up like a it's Pokemon but this type game
Yes.
because I haven't found one that's really spoken to me yet.
Right. But I mean, maybe it could be because it's a Dragon Quest game that it works.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I wouldn't have thought that, like a builders game would be that interesting to me, but Dragon Quest Builders, I played the demo for it and it had a ton of fun. You know what I mean?
Right. That's funny that like the example you provide is a game that you didn't really.
I feel like there's just certain genres that I get my fill pretty quickly, where it's
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, I've done this for like 2 or 3 hours and that's all. So all I want out of it. So maybe you're right. Maybe checking out the demo for the Dark Prince is the way I should go.
Yeah, well, and like who knows? It may, when it comes out, be one of those games that people are like, no, it's actually worth. Like I always like wonder, what is it that for like a big meaty game or like a RPG, like what is it that makes me actually like one and decide to stick with it? You know?
Yeah, totally. Well, especially because, like when I played Tokyo Mirage Sessions, Sharp
Yeah,
FE, it took me in the beginning, I was like, I really don't know that this is for me.
yeah,
But at some point it clicked and I ended up loving that game. And then you had something like Persona 5 that I had heard such good things about and I was really excited to check out. And, I put a good amount of time into it, but it never like clicked. And so I feel like it's a strange alchemy of not just gameplay and tactics and all that kind of stuff,
yeah.
but it's characters and the way the story is presented, and sometimes it clicks and sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah, and I think sometimes it's also just like where you are in your life and like what like you have like the patience for. Um yeah, I don't know. It's all just like I think about how rewarding Dragon Quest XI Echoes of an Elusive Age Definitive Edition for the Nintendo Switch was for both of us, but not at the same time, right? Like it hit for me, and then a couple months later, it hit for you. Um,
A couple of years later,
was it
because
really years later?
yeah, because but no, that's so right because I picked up Dragon Quest XI Echoes of Elusive Age Definitive Edition for the Nintendo Switch when it was released back in 2019, the same day as Link's Awakening remake was.
Oh,
But I had just finished Three Houses, so I was like, I played Link's
yeah.
Awakening, then I tried Dragon Quest XI Echoes of Elusive Age Definitive Edition for the Nintendo Switch. Wow, that just became mush.
Yeah,
That
it
wasn't
did. I
even.
like it though.
Um, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm not ready for another one of these games. And so it really
Yeah,
was like couple of years later, I feel like that I finally returned to it. I think that was my third attempt at it.
that's
That
so
it was
funny.
finally like the right time
Yeah.
for me to get through it.
You mentioning Link's Awakening just now did remind me that I wanted to say this about you drew sort of a connection between Super Mario RPG and Link's Awakening, both of the remakes on Switch, and how like committed to a style, a specific style they both are. Um, I went back into Link's Awakening over the weekend just to like be reminded of the art style. And I forgot how poorly that game ran.
Yeah.
It's really, and like you play for a little bit and like you start to forget about it, but like the first couple minutes in it are really framey. And like it was a bummer to revisit in a way that the Super Mario RPG remake is not. Like it's that game performs perfectly. And maybe because they don't have like individual waves, leaves of grass like waving around. You're trying too much, Link's Awakening. Okay. Those are the new releases, and let's close that segment out. Which brings us to a regular segment on our show. It is time for 433. In 1952, American composer John Cage wrote a piece called 433, wherein a performer or group of performers didn't play their instruments for 4 minutes and 33 seconds. For the purposes of this show, our instruments are talking about Nintendo. So for the duration of one performance, 433, Mark and I'll talk about something not at all Nintendo related, thus fulfilling the contract of the piece. Mark, you want to talk about something turning to mush in my mouth? How about that preamble? Also, I was setting the timer for part of that, so I don't know if I did it right. Did it sound okay?
Sounded okay.
All right, great. So we are talking about the Rankin and Bass Christmas specials. Mark, do you have a relationship with these movies?
Okay, so when I was looking this up earlier, I was shocked to learn that there's, at least by IMDb's count, 17 of these Rankin and Bass Christmas specials, and I feel like I'm familiar with maybe like 3 or 4 of them.
Okay, what are yours? Like, or do you have like one that you love?
I have one that I saw a lot as a kid. I didn't.
Yeah.
But like, so Frosty the Snowman, the animated one, I remember enjoying a lot.
That's
And
like the drawing animated one, right?
yes,
Yeah,
and
because
then
they're all animated.
And then 'Twas the Night Before Christmas, I think stars a mouse, and I had seen that one, also hand-drawn animation. And then I think it's Santa Claus is Coming to Town, but it could be one. There's a one where like Santa Claus is young and he looks like a young Ron Howard,
Yeah.
and it's like the story of like how he gets his beard and all that. And there's I think it's there's like the snow wizard whose heart is softened, and he like there's like a musical number about walking.
Yeah. And is that one a little Jesus-y? Am I misremembering?
I think all of them have a little hidden Jesus in
Oh,
them,
okay, all right.
or a lot of them do. But
I mean, I suppose you don't make 17 Christmas specials unless you care about Jesus like at least a little bit, right?
but I can't remember if that one does or not. But there definitely are ones on this list that are a little more religious than others.
For me, the one that was like my movie was The Year Without a Santa Claus. Do you know A Year Without a Santa Claus?
I've never seen it.
Santa's too grumpy. He's like, I'm not going to do it this year. And the elves are like, what? We got to boost Santa's Christmas spirit. So they go to Southtown, USA to try and make it snow. And they go and they battle. They're not battle. They like meet with like an ice elemental called Snow Miser. And he's like, I'd love to have it snow there, but I have no control over Southtown. You got to talk to Heat Miser.
Do you think Snow Miser is the same one from the movie I was talking about, where he?
I don't think so. I think they're different. Okay. I think they're different. I think Snow Miser and the Christmas Wizard or whatever are two different things.
Some of these just by their title I've never seen, but feel like they would be chaotic. Like The Little Drummer Boy Book 2. I don't know that was a story that needed more happening. The Leprechaun's Christmas Gold. I'm not sure about this.
I mean, maybe The Little Drummer Boy is like Dune. That like it's only commercially viable to put out one 3-hour movie.
Okay, the last one from 1985 is called The Life and Adventures of Santa Claus, and here is the little IMDb synopsis of it. Yeah. At a council convened by the Great Ak, which is AK, the forest being tells the story of Santa Claus to explain why he deserves to be made immortal.
See, I don't. I mean, made immortal. I don't. There's a lot of this where I'm like, we're doing too much. Like the Leprechaun's Christmas Gold. I don't. What is that?
An Irish sailor is stranded on an island full of leprechauns and soon finds himself aiding them in protecting their gold from a greedy hag.
Oh my.
So
and,
the Christmas part of it seems incidental.
it does. It feels like you made a St. Patrick's Day movie and said that it's Christmas. There's also Pinocchio's Christmas.
In Pinocchio's first Christmas,
Mm.
he sells the book Geppetto gives him for present money, but Cat and Fox trick him out of it.
Well, that's our timer. So I guess we won't know the rest of the. I can't turn off my. Okay.
Wait, sorry.
Yeah.
I've one more thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have heard of a long-eared Christmas donkey before, but its name wasn't Nestor. Do you
Okay.
remember?
Hold on, because I'm not sure that you and I are allowed to talk about this long-eared donkey if his name is Nestor.
Oh, you're right. No, you're right. You are, of course, right.
Yeah, but there's like an Italian Christmas donkey.
Yes, but its name isn't Nestor.
No, it's like Antonio.
Wow. I don't think that's right,
Hey
but
Siri,
but I would like it to be. That would be
what's the
funny.
name of the Christmas donkey?
No, I just don't think that's right.
That's not the Christmas donkey we're thinking of.
No.
All right, we were accompanied today by a timer on my phone that I was unable to turn off correctly and may go off again. So who knows? Mark, let's get into the news.
Splatoon 3's Chill Season 2023 is kicking off this Friday, December 1st. The Splatoon Twitter account has been dropping new updates, little tidbits about what will be included in it every day since its announcement. And among the details that have been revealed, we know that the Bluefin Depot stage that originally appeared in Splatoon 1 is returning for Splatoon 3. There is a new King Salmonid in Salmon Run called a Megalodontia. And, they showed kind of one of those blurry pictures, pixelated pictures that they have been using to kind of show the king salmonids that they've been revealed. And it's like kind of like jumping out of the water with its mouth agape, and in its mouth you can see that it has what look like gold teeth or something. So
Cool.
yeah, it looks kind of cool.
Mark, have you seen the Meg?
No, I haven't.
So I wonder if this is like Splatoon's the Meg.
I mean, didn't the Meg 2 just come out a few months ago?
It did. I haven't seen it yet. It's supposed to be worse than the original.
But so maybe this is just Nintendo Nintendo had like, maybe we're going to get a the Meg Twitter or not Twitter, Tetris 99 Maximus Cup.
Why not? We're getting so many.
Yeah.
Bring it on in.
There's also a new battle theme called Slopping Spree by the band Chirpy Chips. Plus the usual array of weapons, a lot of them returning from previous Splatoon games.
Is the chill season enough to get you back into Splatoon? You're gonna check out that new King Salmonid in Salmon Run.
It's been months since I've played Salmon Run, but this was a good reminder that I love Salmon Run.
Yeah, we should get in and do some Salmon Run together.
Yeah, that'd be a lot of fun. We talked about it, or I guess, did we?
We've talked
earlier
about
in the show.
It's part of the cold open. It's part of the
all right.
on this episode. Yeah, we talked about it.
Jet Force Gemini, the 1999 Rare developed Nintendo 64 game, is being added to Nintendo Switch Online for Plus expansion pack subscribers this December. Maybe Friday, maybe December 1st. The Nintendo of America tweet just says December, but the game is releasing in Japan on November 30th. So it does follow that it would be released in the US on the 1st. And I've seen it reported places as the 1st, but I think people are just guessing because Nintendo of America said December and it's releasing November 30th. So we don't really know as far as I can tell, but seemingly on Friday, there's a good chance Jet Force Gemini will drop.
It is it's weird that they're rolling it out this way, right? Like all the rest of them have been dated as they've been announced. I mean, like we get those things where it's like a tease where and Jet Force Gemini is not on the original list of games that was like supposed to come out eventually. We're still waiting on 1080 Snowboarding. Was part of that original reveal of like more Nintendo 64 games are coming, and we haven't seen it yet. So that's two weird things. One is that this is another one like cutting the line to get in before those that were already revealed. Two, that we don't have an actual date, and three, that it's another rare game that's coming out on the N64 Nintendo Switch Online that's not the Donkey Kong or Diddy Kong Racing game.
Yeah. And this is Jet Force Gemini. Jet Force Gemini, I believe, is part of that Rare collection
It
that
is,
was
yeah.
released on
Rare
Xbox not that
replay.
long ago. Yeah,
Yeah.
so I feel like maybe there's I it feels inevitable to me that Donkey Kong 64 will release. I
Yeah.
think it would be very cool if Diddy Kong Racing does, although I'm a little more skeptical about that. But it feels maybe possible that Perfect Dark will eventually show up.
Whoa. That's crazy.
But yeah, it is interesting to me how many of these rare games we're getting. I have never played Jet Force Gemini for
Neither have
more
I.
than like a minute and a half, and in the grand tradition of very specific slash ugly looking rare characters, the box art for this game, I think, is truly hideous.
Well, and I feel like in recent years have taken the Nintendo 64 games look like butt approach, right?
It's
To this
true. Look,
generation.
it's
Yeah.
it's not their fault, but a lot of them do.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
So it's possible that this is another entry in the hey, this Nintendo 64 game looks like butt.
Yeah, totally possible. Mark, I want to talk about just these NSO library game releases for a second, referring, of course, back to our fun chart that is tracking everything. Um, if no games come out between now and the end of November, this will be the first month in 2 years that there hasn't been a game release on these virtual console libraries.
Oh, wow, that's interesting.
Yeah, something comes out every month. The last time we had a month without a release was November 2021. So that's weird. Also wanted to note that we are now in the longest drought that we've ever had between Sega Genesis game releases. Um, there was a 125-day drought between December of 22 and April of 23, but we are now 152 days since the last Genesis games were released, and it makes me wonder if that is a practice we are done with. We are no longer getting Genesis games, or if could be tomorrow they announce 4 more Genesis games.
Yeah, and maybe it becomes more like the NES or those systems that I feel like it just happens sporadically instead
Yeah,
of on any consistent release schedule.
yeah. I mean, the schedule of the Genesis games is so weird. This year we've gotten 2 separate drops. They were in April and June, and in April we got 5 games, and in June we got 4.
Yeah, it's just another, yeah, like why not spread those out across
Yeah,
or even do like one in April, one in November or something.
yeah,
Why in that cadence? But that's how I feel about all of Nintendo Switch Online. I just want
absolutely.
I just want to know. Like I don't I just want somebody to explain it to me and because I'm just so curious. Like I don't want to give notes. I have no feedback. I'm fine with whatever you're doing. I just want to know why. I'm so
Yeah,
fascinated.
I mean, I'll give feedback, but like I also just want to I also just want to know why. It doesn't make a ton of sense to me.
Also interesting with because you were talking about kind of the unusual way that the Jet Force Gemini was announced, and normally the like Nintendo of America and maybe sometimes Nintendo of Europe have been leading with the announcements. But the way it happened this time is Nintendo of Japan tweeted about it, and the reason why is because they announced that they're releasing a version of Nintendo Switch Online, Nintendo 64 app in Japan specifically for users 18 plus years of age. And only 2 games will be included in the beginning, which is GoldenEye 007, which released outside of Japan for Nintendo Switch Online plus expansion pack subscribers earlier this year, and but will now finally be releasing in Japan. And Jet Force Gemini is also in there. both games, interestingly enough, GoldenEye 007 and Jet Force Gemini were rated teen in the United States, but were like uh, the harshest rating, which is like 0, I think, in Japan.
And is that just because of like more
Guns?
realistic gun violence? Yeah,
That would be my guess.
but like Sin and Punishment and Winback are both games where your characters have guns.
Yeah, I don't know. GoldenEye 00, yeah, I don't know. GoldenEye 007, like even Sin and Punishment is a little more sci-fi than
Yeah.
GoldenEye 007 is I guess more just like a shooting simulation in a lot of ways.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
But Jet Force Gemini, uh
It's also
nope,
sci-fi, right?
nobody believes those ugly trolls could actually exist. So I
I,
don't know.
I mean, I do think it is valuable that there are ways to like use parental controls on these like virtual, these NSO library games. I almost wish that you could just like toggle those on and off within the individual apps, right? It's really just the Nintendo 64 is the first one where it's like kind of relevant.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I guess I don't know how the parental controls that you can use for the Nintendo Switch in general apply to like the individual games within Nintendo Switch Online, but I guess they haven't released a mature game in the US that
Yeah,
I can think of, and so maybe it hasn't been relevant, right? Everything's been up to teen, but in
yeah.
Japan, those that wouldn't be the case, and so maybe that's why they need this specific app because maybe the parental controls that you can configure for the Switch as a whole aren't granular enough to say like, hey, don't allow access to the individual games within Nintendo Switch Online, and so
Yeah.
they needed the separate app. And so if they ever released a mature game um, for Nintendo 64 in the US, that we would see a similar system there.
Right. So if I mean, and that could be like the holdup for Conker's Bad Fur Day, for example.
Right, right. Since Hideki Kamiya left Platinum Games last month, there have been questions from fans about what it means for the future of the Bayonetta series. Kamiya was the director on the first game and was involved with the second and third games as the series producer. In a recent video on his YouTube channel where he answered fan questions, which, sidebar, I like that this is kind of becoming like a thing where Japanese developers retire or, change careers or something like Sakurai and now Kamiya, and we just need a third one to make it a trend where they're setting up these like YouTube channels where they're just like talking to fans more directly and sharing interesting information. I like that a lot. But in a recent video on his YouTube channel where he'd answered fan questions, Kamiya says that he expects the Bayonetta series will continue without him at some point.
Mm.
Specifically, quote, I've talked about this in various interviews that the Bayonetta series would consist of a total of 9 episodes, and that I want to grow the franchise as the Bayonetta saga. But it seems like I may have to take the full saga to the grave with me. It's a shame. It's not like I own the Bayonetta IP, but I suppose those who do will probably keep it going.
I mean, that's what happens when you sell Star Wars to Disney is you lose control over it, right?
One thing I liked about I was watching some more of this video than just the little quote here, because I feel like I guess my impression of Kamiya is just kind of as like the Twitter grump that
Yeah.
blocks people and is like really terse. But he's so personable in this video. Like he's talking about somebody asks a question about things that are like outside video games, like his visits to aquariums and stuff, and he talks about how much he likes going to aquariums and shares pictures of him at the aquarium. It just made him, just seem so much more at the well-rounded human being that
Right.
everybody is, more than just like the caricature that I think of him as. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean the his posture on Twitter was always seemed defensive to me, where he was like, "I can't. This is a ridiculous way to interact with human beings." Like he was one of those guys where like the rest of us were all on social media like pretending it was okay, and he was just like, "No, it's not."
Even in the quote, it makes him sound so kind of like embittered a little bit, where he's just like, "Oh, I guess
Yeah.
I'm taking this to my grave." But in the video, you realize, oh, it's like said with like levity. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
it's
Right.
not.
Right.
It doesn't sound like he's bitter about it. It's just
No,
the
he's
reality of the situation.
yeah, that's right. He seems like a relatively happy guy.
Nintendo has announced the 37th Tetris Maximus Cup for Tetris 99. The event will run from Thursday, November 30th to Monday, December 4th, and the theme for the cup is WarioWare Move It. Same rules
Uh,
as always.
mhm.
Earn 100 points, get the theme forever, and you can also buy the theme later using tickets.
This is very cool. I like it when they do more of these events. And although, Mark, did you watch the trailer for this, the video for it? They
No,
show
I
a
haven't
little bit
seen it.
of the theme. In true WarioWare fashion, it's disgusting. Like all the sounds have just like a little extra wetness to them, and like I don't know, the dropping Tetris blocks is gonna sound like farts. And that's all there is to it.
And yet, we are not done with Tetris Maximus Cups.
No.
The 38th Tetris Maximus Cup for Tetris 99 is happening December 14th to December 18th, and the theme for this cup is Super Mario Brothers Wonder.
Yeah. Same rules apply. You earn 100 points, you get the theme forever. Mark, what's going on here? These two Tetris Maximus Cups were announced within 15 minutes of each other.
This is another one. Tetris Maximus Cups are another one where
Yeah.
it's like, I don't want to get
Why?
feedback. I just want to
I just want
understand.
to know.
I just want to like see the process through from the
Yeah.
beginning where somebody's like, we're gonna do a Tetris Maximus Cup for this, to the end when it's like, when do you want to schedule it? How about like 10 days after the last one, and we're gonna announce them 15 minutes apart on Twitter.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. It's also weird that because the most recent one was the Super Mario RPG one, which came out before that game came out, and then we've just gone backwards in time through major Nintendo releases, right?
Yeah. It's like Super Mario RPG became the focal point, like the nexus, and
Yes.
then they were like, well, let's just work our way back. We're gonna
Yeah.
do WarioWare next, and
Uh-huh.
then we're gonna do Wonder after that.
Right. And like the only one of these that was perfectly timed was Pikmin 4. Like that's
The power of Miyamoto.
it's the power of Miyamoto. What a bizarre little. I mean, of course, I'm gonna tune in to both of these and get both of these themes. Um, but yeah, just bizarre, and that like they announced them both at the same time, but only had a video ready for one of them.
I don't know. Maybe everybody's just, like at work, everybody's kind of in holiday mode,
Yeah,
and they're like, you know what? Let's just get these both out there. Then we don't have to worry about it.
I wonder if like one of these was not meant to be announced today.
Somebody just like scheduled it incorrectly.
Yeah, and they're like, oh, well, I guess it's out. I don't know. What are you gonna do? Because they don't refer to each other, right? Like
Right.
the second tweet isn't like, in addition to WarioWare, we're giving you another one. It's just they're just happening. There's just
It's
two of
like,
these
yeah,
things.
it's like they're pretending that the other one didn't happen.
Yes, yes.
Okay, so we went for a while between WarioWare games,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then in this course of like 2 years, we got two of them. And I think it might be too much WarioWare because this one seems to not be doing particularly well.
The thing is, the WarioWare games never do that well, right?
But yeah, but even in comparison to previous games, I think the
Mm.
current entry is having difficulty finding an audience.
The thing is, it's also like it's emulating the WarioWare smooth moves like style of gameplay, and I think that the like audience has just kind of moved on from that. Like
Hmm.
like Nintendo Switch Sports had like a decent. Did it sell like 4 million or something like that?
Yeah, I think
Um,
it might be closer to 10 at this point, but yeah, I mean, at least five.
right. But not Wii Sports numbers. So like it just feels like the appetite for that specific thing isn't quite there anymore. Um, but yeah, and like WarioWare Get It Together was also like so specific Like, I wonder if there's just like an appetite for like a regular WarioWare game, and neither of these games are that.
And also, maybe everybody is so well fed by everybody want to switch
That's right.
that another one of these games just feels redundant at this point.
Yep, yep. And you know, we talked about this briefly, but like the presentation of these games, like I know it's just like the style of the game, but like why does it get so close to being like a fully animated intro to each of the mini games, but like isn't? And then like the first time you play them, you can't skip them. I don't know. It's I think the WarioWare series is going through like a little bit of an identity crisis. Um and I wonder if Nintendo cares enough to solve that crisis, or just like keep putting out weird WarioWare games.
Right. Well, I mean, that is one reason why I think we didn't get a WarioWare for a long time because there was the Wii U like game builder one. Um,
Yeah,
but
Game and Wario.
yeah, and then eventually we got WarioWare Gold in that time frame on the Nintendo 3DS where we were getting quite a few of these kind of like collection
Yeah.
repackaging type things. But it does feel to me like after Smooth Moves, they were at this point where they're like, yeah, in that Nintendo way, they're like, I don't really know what else we can do with this. And then with Get It Together, they had like the multiplayer angle on it. But you're right, maybe it's just kind of like the time has passed on WarioWare games.
Well, and this is my one of my like king worries about just Nintendo generally, is that WarioWare Gold is the like switchification of the WarioWare series, right? Like it is the like golden ideal that has all of the content from like everything people loved about it. It's the same kind of thing that makes me go like, well, how do you follow up on Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild? How do you follow up on, and I understand that one of those is actually the follow up to the other, but like, how do you follow up on Mario Kart 8 Deluxe? How do you follow up on Smash Ultimate? Like some of these franchises have just reached their like zenith. What do you do next? And you just like make a smaller, weirder one that's less successful. That's not satisfying.
Yeah, I mean, in some ways, it's also like the Star Fox problem, right?
Totally,
Where
yeah.
the series does what it's meant to do, which I would say is WarioWare Smooth Moves or WarioWare Gold. That's a
Yep.
great example as well. And then it's kind of like, well, we can do more of the same with like a twist and all that, but it just kind of, um, it just doesn't feel the same at that point. I also think it's possible that Wario's getting too gross, and people are just like,
Yeah.
"Oh, actually, this is just unpleasant at this point."
Yeah. There are a lot of butts in the new WarioWare game.
What more needs to be said? Finally, when the developer Aspyr ported Knights of the Old Republic 2 to Switch, they also announced that that like the restored content DLC would be coming at a future date. This was, that game released for Switch. I think the port was released in June of 2022, and then earlier this year they just kind of like quietly canceled the restored content DLC. And at
Yep.
the time, as a make good, when they finally like announced it, Aspire offered people who purchased the game before the cancellation was announced a free game download. But they never commented on why the DLC was canceled. But in a court filing that was in response to a lawsuit that was brought against them over the canceled DLC, Aspire says, quote, that Aspire believed it would be able to release the content, but a third party objected, and Aspire was unable to do so. That's all we know.
Yes. Can I tell you how little this surprises me? I was so okay. The restored content was not content that the BioWare had been working on and then like finished making after the game released, and then like put out or like put in a vault or whatever. It's genuinely stuff that was unfinished and was sort of dumped onto game forums, and then a fan community came together to patch in the pieces of the end of this game, and like all of this content that had been cut. And that same fan community got people to do like the voice acting and create art assets and all this kind of stuff. So like it was never Aspire's or BioWare or Lucasfilm's content to resell to begin with. So if there's any new assets in the game from in the restored content, from voice acting to music to art, that belongs to someone. And I never really understood how they thought they were going to put that out. It's like you just can't do it because you can't like find these people because it's like a pirate game community. So yeah, I'm not surprised by this at all.
Yeah, reading this made me go back to kind of like learn the history of the restored DLC content, because I knew that it has a much longer name, but like official name, but I knew that it had been like a fan restoration thing, and so but I was trying to figure out like how it had been released and how Aspyr was like connected to all of it, and so apparently when Aspyr did like a Steam port, they worked with the fan community to make it compatible. So they had,
Yes.
like because they had access to the Knights of the Old Republic 2 like source code that Obsidian, the developer, had worked with, like they were able to fix some of the bug or like make it so that way it was perfectly compatible. So some of the bugs that the fan community had run into, they were able to, like help them fix or like tweak the source code so that way it worked better with it. They added trophies for it, but but that was it, right? Like they weren't including it in the version in Steam that they sold or anything. It was just a mod that was available, and apparently the same was true for like the iOS and Android ports. But for Switch, it wasn't clear to me if like they were planning to sell it as DLC or if they were just planning to like include it. But since the Switch doesn't allow for mods, it would have had to been like an official release one way or the other. And
which
so
would
that's where
make
like
it part of the product that they're selling.
Right, which makes total sense that somebody at some point was going to be like why, like how are you doing this? How are you charging money for this?
Right. And like it may not even be a matter of like individual people who created that content like trying to stop them, but just legal being like, how do you think this is safe? Like anyone could sue us. Um but I mean that, which is really just like, I don't know why it got to that point, right? Like I don't know why Aspyr thought that they could get away with selling a product that included fan generated content in not a like created in the engine kind of thing. Like you can Nintendo can sell Super Mario Maker 2 that gives you access to user made content, because like part of the agreement that you have when you start playing that and uploading levels is that like you give up your legal right to like the creative whatever that is that game. And it's nuts to me to think that Aspyr would be like, yeah, I don't know, we'll just like take this old stuff that like people made under no kind of contract, no kind of agreement, and make it part of the thing we're selling. But so we're never going to see that game completed in an official context, and that's just the way of it. All right, Mark, let's get out of the news. Okay, that's going to do it for this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society. Remember, if you would like to join our Discord, all you got to do is email us and we will send you an invitation. Anthony DeLuca made our logo. Our theme music is provided by 8-Bit Betty. You can get more of his music by going to 8bitbetty.com or by listening right now. For my co-host, Mark Mitchell, this is Patrick Eller saying thank you for listening.